Good morning. It's 841 News Radio 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, and standing by, joining us, as a matter of fact, for the very first time on 710 KEEL, United States Senator Mary Landrieu. Miss Mary, how are you this morning? Thank you for joining us.
Wonderful. I'm sorry I haven't been on before. It's my era, I guess. If you all have asked me, I sure should have been.
We have asked weekly for 6 months, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, I am very sorry.
That's okay.
She turns down my lunch offers, too, as a matter of fact, so fret not.
I am very sorry.
I know you're a busy woman. We get that, and I understand. I watched the debate this week, Monday night. You both seem to have your mind on one thing, and I know you wanted to address that. A lot of people think that the LSU health issue with Congressman Cassidy is a non-issue, but you have some facts you wanted to share quickly before we get into other items.
Well, I would hope that most people would consider this as serious as it is. The story broke last week, and I don't know of any person that's receiving $50,000 in income from a public entity that can't show that work is being done. I mean, there are statutes against that. There's the violation of the law. And, Bill Cassidy's portrayed himself as a man who served the poor, according to the documents that I'm sure you all have looked at and reviewed. And if you don't have them, we're happy to give them to you. Emails that have been released by LSU that show that there's virtually no evidence of that work being done. In addition, everyone knows, including John Fleming, that represents the district in Shreveport, that it's against the law for a congressman to receive any outside income. And there are very, very strict limits as to what a sitting congressman or woman can receive. And the only exception is a teaching, narrowly defined teaching. And there's no evidence that that's what he's done.
If he says he and his supervisor, this is how they did it, and that's just the way they did it.
The story coming from the Cassidy camp is that, and from LSU, too, as a matter of fact, in some quarters, that the finance reporting is, what was the term, discretionary.
No, there's been no report from LSU. There's been no report. What LSU said yesterday is it's under serious review. There's been no report by LSU.
Does this disqualify Congressman Cassidy to be a senator?
It may disqualify him as being a citizen free.
You think it's a jailable offense?
Well, is payroll fraud a jailable offense?
Yep, that's the point. We'll have to wait for the investigation.
Speaking of the debate the other evening, you at one point, and I was a little surprised, maybe not, you came out in favor of an internet tax. Was that something you've championed perhaps all along?
It's not an internet tax. I know you're familiar with the details of this, but Louisiana is losing, including Shreveport and all the businesses in your area, about $800 million a year as more and more people go online to purchase items and do not pay the sales tax because it's very difficult under the current, way of collecting it. But big sellers like Amazon.com have come to Congress and said, we want to pay the tax to the Shreveport Fire Department. We want to pay the tax to the Bossier school system. We know that this is a terrible unfairness in, people have to pay taxes at the local, for local businesses, but they are at a complete disadvantage against these outside sellers. So Amazon came to Congress and said, we know Louisiana is losing $800 million. You could use it to build your highways and support your schools. So we want Congress to pass a way for us to pay it. The Senate passed that bill. It's called the Marketplace Fairness Bill. It's supported by the Chamber of Commerce.
Basically, basically a sales tax on internet purchases.
No. It is collecting sales tax on purchases where the tax is already levied but not being collected. The tax is already levied on purchases made. It's just leveling the playing field between your local businesses in Shreveport and Bossier, your bookstores, your T-shirt shops, your mechanics that sell tires. they have to pay the tax, and that's how you run your school system, on sales tax. And Louisiana's losing $800 million a year. And so the bill passed with Republican and Democratic support. And as I said, it's really important. So when people say, where can we go to find money for our ports and our highways, instead of raising taxes, why don't we just collect what's due for our local? And 400 of that would stay local and 400 would go to the state. And I really think we should use that $400 million for infrastructure projects for our state.
Senator Mary Landrieu, read a quote to you real quick. I don't know anyone outside of Mary Landrieu's staff who thinks she has a chance to win on Saturday. Comes from Bob Mann. I know you know. The hole is just too deep. The abandonment by white voters so complete. Your reaction?
Well, listen, I love Bob Mann, and I've known him my whole life. But, the only poll that counts is on Election Day. And let me just explain to you and to your viewers, there's no quit in me, and I really am sorry that I haven't engaged with you all more than, I should have, and I really am sorry. My staff literally didn't even let me know you were asking me to come on. But there's no quit in me, and I've been very proud to represent the state and to support Barksdale and to help build a cyber innovation center, to bring millions of dollars to tech and Grambling, and to continue to work on behalf of the state. But I would really ask you all to look and to not give a Republican congressman a pass on what could potentially be payroll fraud just because he's a Republican. And I think you owe it to your listeners to do your due diligence.
Absolutely.
On this. This is not something that I came up with. This is a very serious issue. And he's portrayed himself as being a doctor for the poor. You cannot collect a $50,000 benefit package and not do the work for it. And his salary before he became a congressman, do you all have any idea what it was? Any idea?
Go ahead.
His salary was $374,000 a year. He made $100,000 from LSU, $100,000 from Angola, another public entity, and $100,000 from Earl K. Long, $40,000 from his practice, and $32,000 as a state senator.
Speaking of congressmen. Okay, go ahead.
That's $380,000 a year while he was a state senator. When he became a congressman, his salary fell to $174,000. It fell in half. So you can understand why a man who's raising a family and trying to pay his bills would try to figure out a way to pad his income. That's exactly what he did.
Speaking of Congressman, we're about 10 seconds out of the break. Senator Landrieu, I apologize. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I certainly wish we had more time.
Thank you so much. I'll be happy to call in again tomorrow if you'd like.
We might do that. Thank you so much.